Welcome to Shore Perspectives, a community feature of WESR Radio, highlighting the spirit of the shore from those who call it home.
I'm Mary Thomas. I've been an RN for 48 years, and currently I do home care with primarily elderly dementia patients, but really anybody who calls me, and also I animal sit when I'm not nursing. Oh, I have Precious. She is my nursing assistant. I found her in November a year ago. I thought it was a cat in the road, and I stopped and was going to open the door to tell it to shoo, and this tiny dog ran and jumped in my lap, and I said, well, it's a dog. And so I was on my way to work, so I left her in the car, and I told my patient's daughter, and she says, oh my goodness. She said, well, I'll go get her. Next thing I knew, she had her in the house, in the kitchen sink, giving her a flea bath, and she came out all fluffy and white because she was dirty and gray and didn't smell very good. And anyway, she and so once she got her all tailed off, she took her in to her mother, who was on hospice, and Precious jumped right in her lap and just as calm, and the patient visibly calmed down. And so I took her home and put her on Lost Paws, and next morning called animal control to see if she was chipped, and she'd made herself right at home that night. She jumped right up in one of my recliners and went to sleep like she owned the place. And anyway, so the fella came and he said, well, I said, I'll keep her, because he had a thing in chip her. He said, she don't have a chip. And he said, well, she looks mighty well cared for. I said, she didn't. I took pictures of what she looked like. I said, this is what she looked like when we found her, and had a piece of wire on the collar that was too big for her. And I said, so he said, well, I've got to take her in. And I said a little prayer for her and hoped she would get back to her people. And 10 days later, I got a phone call, and they said, did you want that little dog? And I said, oh yes, please. When can I come get her? And she said, well, we're here till 4. I said, I'll be there in half an hour. And I swear she knew who I was when I went in there. She started wagging her tail and barking. I said, come on, let's get out of here. And took her home, and everybody, I'd taken her with me, and everybody'd say, isn't she just precious? What's her name? I said, well, I don't know. But I said, I think Precious is a good name. So she has been Precious ever since, and she goes with me on all my nurse calls. And the people may not remember who I am, but they always know the little dog, the little girl. Some of them say, where's the little girl? Didn't she come? And they're not happy to see me unless I have Precious with me. Some of them said, well, she had an upset stomach. She couldn't come, and they'll be so concerned about her. So she has been a true blessing, because I had lost my longtime companion, Jack Russell, just the month before. And I had not really, well, I'd been looking on the Jack Russell rescue sites, but he was a wonderful little dog, but he was a wild man. I had to keep a leash or a lead on him all the time. He would run for miles if he got off. And so she's a completely different kind of animal. She doesn't stray. I open my front door, she barely gets to the end of my sidewalk. And then she turns around and runs back to the house, And I'd say, Precious, do we need to go see another patient? Do we need to go see another patient? And she'll start barking and running in circles and go to the door. And she gets so excited. She knows I have at least more than half a dozen clients right now. And she will know once I start having some of these necks, long before I'm at their house. She's very smart. She knows which door to go to, and just is happy to see everybody, and loves car rides. And she has been a great blessing to many different people. I was rather happy that I got to keep her.
Yeah.
And she's a welcome addition to my nursing staff. Even people who have very diminished mental capacity respond caringly to her. She sailed right into it and worked within the first half hour of being in with me, and I was like, well, I'm on to something here. And the patient's family said, oh, absolutely, keep bringing her. Mom was more alert than we've seen in ages. And yeah, and so she would sit in her lap and right there with her wherever she would call her. She could remember her name. She would say, by then Precious was firmly in place. So she is her name is give rescue animals a chance and visit the elderly, because they have a lot to share with you.
For Shore Perspectives and WESR Radio, I'm Kelley Gaskell.